Hey guys, tonight we're going to be making rice and grits. Decided to make this kind of a half and half healthy version for what we're trying to eat around the house here lately. The rice grits come from the amazing previous videos, Rouston Family Farms. See their beautiful logo here. From Arkansas, in Arkansas, if any of you guys happen to be watching from another state. Uh, they're amazing. They're really, really fantastic product. Great flavor, even on their own. But let's get into it. There's going to be lots of different things we're going to be doing. But let's just start the easy part, and that's the grits. So what I have is probably about 3 tablespoons of diced yellow onion. I've got the rice grits themselves. You can see the amazing little texture. The machines they have, I've been in their mill. The machine they have to do this is pretty pretty awesome. Never seen an operation like that, but you can see how consistent they are. Got some plain old chicken stock. I think this is probably Great Value brand from Wally World. I've got some cream cheese, believe it or not, that we're going to finish with, and some good old half and half coarse pepper and kosher salt. I keep it next to my stove at all times. It's an easy go-to. I use coarse salt because you can see it. You can see how much how much salt you're putting on meat or whatever. And the pepper, since I put pepper in everything anyway, I just put it together. That way, it gives me actually a really good gauge on how much of the seasoning I'm putting in my food. So anyway, without further ado, Dutch oven. Remember that? Got some olive oil. A little extra virgin, probably about a tablespoon. Start with something like that. I already have my Dutch oven preheated. You should hear a little sizzle here. Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry the camera's so wavy. I'm gonna try to get better at this as I go. You're gonna cook these about a minute maybe. This won't take very long because this pot was pretty hot when I started. The oil didn't take long to heat up. These onions won't take but a minute. I'm not trying to brown them or anything. I just want it to add flavor to those grits. A beautiful spatula. Alright, grits going in. I don't know if you can hear my daughter. She's in there taking a bath. Usually it's her favorite thing to do. For some reason, she's decided to scream. We're going to toast these, as I've said in previous videos. I'm not going to get this brown. I just want to start being able to smell the rice being toasted. And it's a pretty distinct smell. So it won't take but a minute or so to get to that point. So I'm going to leave it alone. Be careful not to leave this alone too long because you will burn it. And it won't ruin it depending on how far you've gotten with it, but just be careful. Alright, it's been toasting for about a minute and a half. I can smell it. So at this point I'm going to add my stock. I've got, that's 1 cup of rice grits, and I've got about 2 cups of stock. These grits absorb a little more water than it would if you were just cooking the rice by itself. So it really takes a little bit more than 2 cups, but since I'm going to finish it with a little more liquid and the cream cheese, I'm just going to stick with 2 cups. And just like the other rice, you're going to get it to kind of a boil. As soon as it boils, you're going to put the top on it and let those grits soak up the liquid. Ooh, sorry about that. These grits are boiling, so I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. Give them a little stir to make sure the bottom of them aren't sticking, and cover it up. I'm gonna let that go for about 2-3 minutes, just like the other rice. Then I'll slide it over and just kind of let it sit for a while, and I'll put it in the back because we'll come back to it a little bit later. Alright, it's been sitting for about 10 minutes. Let's see what it looks like. Oh yeah. So it's pretty sticky right now. So what we're going to do is, at this point, I'm going to add the cream cheese. It's about 2 tablespoons for the whole thing. Normally I would let it sit out, let it get to room temperature, but I forgot to do it, quite honestly. But you can do it cold. These grits are nice and hot. We're going to stir them around till the cream cheese melts and gets into there, and you'll see the color of the grits change a little bit too. Alright, here we go. Start in those 2.5 tablespoons of cream cheese, and I added about a half a cup to 3/4 cup of stock. You can use liquid, you can use vegetable stock, whatever is your preference. You can absolutely make these vegetarian. I just prefer chicken stock. It adds a lot of flavor to it. I don't like to do it with water because it will dilute what are the flavors that you have in there. And I just tasted it a while ago, and the cream cheese is in there not to make it taste like cream cheese. It just gives it a nice, more flavor, and it really creams them things up. Look. So those are going to go really well with the other parts of this recipe. Let's put him to bed, cover him up, and put him to the back. Alright, here's some ingredients for the gravy that we're going to use to go with the shrimp on the grits. Got 2 tablespoons of olive oil, about a half a chopped yellow white onion, either one. I've got half each of a orange bell pepper and red bell pepper. I've got about 4 garlic cloves chopped. Got about a tablespoon of what did I put in there? Italian seasoning. I'm gonna put a few crushed red peppers. Between these two, there's a 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. I think I used Hunt's this time. Got about a tablespoon of Louisiana brand hot sauce. And what I think is about probably a 1/3 cup of green onion. And then about a half a lime. I'm going to squeeze that whole thing into the finished part of the dish. First, got my pan. It's probably too hot now. Let me turn it down. Start the onions. Oh yeah, a little too hot. But all these ingredients will cool it down pretty quick. Put the onions, bell peppers, saute these together. I am right-handed. Let me switch this camera. There we go. Much better. We're going to saute these up till they start getting brown, a little brown on the outside. Sometimes in some of the ingredients recipes, I'll just want to get them translucent. But since we're not going to stew these down too much further than like I do sometimes, we're just going to try to get some brown around these edges. Let that sit there for a minute while that's chilling out. Put my garlic on top. I'm not going to stir it around right now because I don't want that garlic to get down in the oil and burn. So if you leave it on top, you can just let everything just sit where it is. Add my herbs, Italian seasoning. crushed red pepper. This crushed red pepper is a little sneaky. You can definitely overdo it, and I've learned over the years what's not hot initially. Like if I were to get done with this dish and eat it right away, it might have a little spice, but as it sits there for 30 minutes, an hour, and even the next day, it just gets hotter and hotter. So even though crushed red pepper isn't one of the hottest things you can put in there, you can definitely overdo it. So just be careful of that. I probably got what I would call two pinches of crushed red pepper in there. Alright. I had turned down the heat because it got too hot. Turned it back up to about probably a medium. Number 4 on mine, which is about a medium. Medium high is 5. Anything above 5 is, holy crap, get out of the house, you're about to set it on fire. Smells herby. Smells very Cajun-y. Let that cook for about 2 minutes. Alright. Onions and peppers are starting to change color, which is what I want. Getting a little, let's pull this up so you can see it. Starting to get a little brown. That's kind of exactly where I want it. So we're going to add the next ingredient, which is our hot sauce. I have my favorite hot sauces. One's Frank's and one's Louisiana. There's definitely some really good ones in between all that. Valentina's. Oh gosh, there's a bunch of them. But these are the two I use the most, and both have kind of distinct flavors to them. You can see the color of that change now that it's coated in the hot sauce. Now I'm going to add my crushed tomatoes. So if any of you happen to be wondering why I haven't put any salt in there, for a couple of reasons. The hot sauce has some salinity to it. The tomatoes have salinity to it. Ooh, I just got a breath full of some hot sauce. And the lemon juice that I'm going to put in there has some salinity to it. And I don't want to overdo it. So the salt and pepper in this dish, we'll just use if we need to adjust it. And my guess, based on everything in here, we might not need to do it at all. Alright, I'm going to add my green onion. And see if I can do this one hand. Squeeze my lime juice. You can do lemon juice, and I probably would do lemon juice if I had a lemon. I just happen to have a lime, so no big deal. Any kind of citrus, lemon or lime, either one. I just want to add to the brightness of the tomatoes and everything else. Goes really good with those grits. Nice creamy, savory grits with the shrimp, and then a nice bright tangy sauce really makes a nice dish altogether. Alright, I'm going to let that simmer probably for about 3-4 minutes just to get the vegetables a little more soft, let everything come together, and then we'll put it to the back for the next step. Alright, my sauce here has been cooking for about 3 minutes. I just tasted it. It has a nice spice to it. I am going to add what's probably half a teaspoon, maybe a little bit less, of some salt and pepper. And I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of some more stock just to loosen it up. And I'm going to take it off the heat, push it to the back, and it'll be ready for the shrimp portion of this recipe, and then we'll put it all together. See how loose that's got? That's more what I'm looking for. I don't want it to be a paste and just kind of glop to one part of the dish, but also don't want it to be soup. So it's a nice kind of right in the middle of everything. Yep. All right, next step. All right, here's the last portion of the recipe, shrimp grits. I've got some, I think I've got about 2 pounds of shrimp here, peeled, tails off, deveined, and I have a rub that I make for barbecue that's great on this shrimp. So that seasoning has been sitting on this shrimp for probably about 10 minutes. And it's important to dry the shrimp as much as you can, because if you want, I'm trying to get some color on this shrimp, and the only way to do that is to keep from steaming it. And the more water's on that shrimp, the more it's going to try to steam. I also have what I think is about a half a cup of cilantro. I've got the other half of lime I'm going to squeeze on there too. Along with, you can see the smoking hot cast iron. Now that's smoking. I do not recommend this. This is something I've done over the years and have learned my stove and how all these things work together. But you can certainly saute your shrimp low and slow and cook it how you want to. But you'll see what this will make this into. Alright, sizzle, sizzle. That shrimp, and it's still cold. It's a cold shrimp. It's been sitting. I thawed it out, took the shell off, still nice and cold. So this shrimp is going to cool this pan really quickly. Even though it's a cast iron, it'll cool it down enough to where it's not going to smoke out your whole house. At least I know my pan enough to know when it's too much. And my wife will probably tell you, you do it too much, you do it all the time. So let's let that sit. It's very important if you're trying to get any color at all on any kind of protein, really, but especially shrimp, is to let, once you get it to a place like I just did, I patted it down to make sure that all the shrimp was contacting the surface of the pan. If you want any color at all, just to leave it alone for a couple minutes and then kind of give it a flip to finish it off. Forgot to show you the flip, but I just flipped them over. You can see the color I've got. On the verge of being too hot, maybe getting a little dark, but I flipped them right in time. You can see by those be some nice color. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it right in the gravy and coat the shrimp with all that gravy, sauce, whatever you want to call it. Let's see. Oh yeah. Wow, shrimp. This is good. This is enough for, you could probably feed about 6 people with this. Or 2 of me. This should be good for some leftovers tomorrow. Let's get them all in there. Alright, let's give these things a turn. Oh yeah. Look at that. That's going to go on top of the grits. Now, we'll take the cilantro. If you are not a cilantro fan, you can substitute that with green onions. No, probably most people would prefer green onions. I love cilantro, so I will use it just about anywhere I can. And I got my other half of my lime. Squeeze that in there. This lime's kind of hard. It's not a lot of juice in there. There we go. This will brighten it up. Give it a nice, good flavor. you go. Man, that looks good. Alright, last little step. I've got a hot cast iron pan. I am spraying a little olive oil. It's just a little spray there just to kind of cut down on some of the oil. And it's plenty for what we're going to do. Because what we're going to do is take some of this and brown it just barely in that pan and make it a healthy option, healthier version. All this is pretty healthy. There's nothing super fattening in any of this. However, if you're trying to cut out some of the rice and not having all of it rice, then it's a good option to do. And what I usually do is I would add this to some of the grits. So I'd have volume. I would, fill me up without having all the extra calories. And just like the shrimp, if you want to get any color at all, you get it to where you want and let it sit there and let the pan do the work and get it a little bit brown. This won't take long at all. This take about 3-4 minutes maybe. And it's going to stay hot, and with everything else that's going to be on top of there, it's going to finish cooking, and you just don't want it mushy. If you ever had cauliflower before, it's got a lot of water content, and it can mush up pretty badly once it gets to that point. So anyway, little salt and pepper. Alright, I just realized this is probably like the 4th or 5th spatula that you've seen in these videos. In this particular video. I don't know. Look, there's one. There's one. I've got another one over there, plus a flipper. Alright, let's turn this. Yeah, look at that. You can see, I don't know if you can see some of the color in there. I don't want to cook it too much because it'll get mushy. And what you're trying to do is keep some of that texture. I use rice cauliflower, which is a little smaller than this chopped one, if I'm trying to get a rice texture. And it really will trick you inside of a dish. I posted a dish that was cauliflower fried rice. It makes you feel like you're eating rice. The textures that are in your mouth makes you feel like that you're eating actual rice, and it cuts out a lot of calories, cuts out a lot of that stuff. So anyway, let's see, I'll let that go another minute. More salt and pepper, and since this is cast iron, it's nice and hot. I'm just going to turn the heat off and let it just kind of coast. And once it gets exactly to where I want it to plate the dish, I'll just take it out and plate the dish, and that's the next thing that you'll see. Alright, let's plate it up. I added about a 1/3 cup more liquid. I actually added just water to these grits to loosen them up. You can see they're nice and creamy. They were a little stiff before I added the water, and I always have to end up adding a little bit more. Sometimes I'll add stock. Most of the time I'll add water to it because water's cheaper, free-ish. There's our shrimp. Look how beautiful that is. That just looks amazing. And here's our cauliflower. We're going to do 2 different bowls, one with the cauliflower and one with the regular grits. So I'll take a little cauliflower, generous portions there. Take some of the shrimp, throw it right on top of there. A little extra gravy. And some chives. Alright, let's do the other version. So yummy. I'm a little hungry today, can you tell? Alright, let's throw the shrimp on there. A little extra chives. And there you have it. Got some shrimp and grits, a little Cajun tomato gravy, and then we got some cauliflower and grits with the same shrimp tomato gravy. Enjoy.